Welcome to the Ed Leaders Edge podcast, where we interview innovators and thought leaders in the field of education who are helping students thrive. I'm your host, Ed Madison. I'm a professor and researcher at the University of Oregon, an educational consultant, and serve as executive director of the Journalistic Learning Initiative, a nonprofit organization that empowers elementary, middle, and high school students to discover their voice, improve academic outcomes, and become self-directed learners through project-based storytelling. Welcome to our program. Welcome back to the podcast. Kevin Scanlon is superintendent of the Three Village Central School District in Stony Brook, New York. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. I wanted to chat with you initially about the work that you're doing in career and technical education with your district, and specifically as it relates to some of the programs teaching sort of financial literacy that I read about. Tell me about that.
So the New York State has career and technical education initiatives that they're encouraging many of the districts to do. These courses align with curriculum that are offered by many of the colleges and universities in the area. So students can actually get the course experience as well as get college credit for some of those courses at the same time. So this is an attempt by the state and districts to try to show that from a college and career readiness standpoint, that not every student has to go to college in order to be successful in their field. So there are many opportunities out there. So in our district right now, we're offering 2 such programs, and we're expanding to much further in the process of analyzing courses in almost every one of our departments that students could apply for. One right now that's running is our marketing course in our business program, and another is an early childhood education program. We have a pre-K program in the district that we use as an internship program for some of our students in the early childhood education area. And this is to try to encourage students to go into the field to become teachers and work with that age bracket. There's a large shortage of teachers in that particular area in the state. So we do work with our local BOCES in our region for career and technical education, where we send students out for some of the programs. And they have everything from carpentry to welding to electronics to LPN to veterinary science, you name it. And they've been wonderful. We have about 55 students right now in our school district that are attending those programs in a regionalized version of the CTE program.
And how are you finding that students are responding to these programs in terms of just ability to be career ready once
they're finding it pretty impressively that they're seeing that there's a lot more opportunities out there. We just had a student last year from an alternative school that got a full ride to UNLV for hospitality science. So she's out there working at a casino. But we've had students that have gone into programs like the welding program. One of our graduates recently left and got a job offer from a major oil company in the country that his salary is starting at 7 digits, and he's only 22 years of age.
Wow, that's great.
So, it's underwater welding can be a very dangerous area, so it's a well-paying area at the same time.
Right.
But even the local hospitals here, which there are several in the New York region, are very high need of nurses. So the LPM program, coupled with some of our local colleges and community colleges, allows the students to transfer credits from this program directly into the LPN RN programs in those areas, and that's helping feed this real glut of nurses that are needed in our region.
Mm-hmm. Offline, I'll send you some information about a program that we have been doing here in the state of Oregon. That's an AI coach that helps students not only identify career pathways, but also helps them like writing their cover letters. Won't write them for them because that's cheating, but helps them with just really tailor their resume, but also get prepared for job interviews and how to follow up afterwards and everything else. And we're getting a lot of really great press on that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So let me ask you, I know that with your junior high, you're sort of morphing that into more of a middle school model where you're moving the 6th grade up and the 9th grade up. Tell me more about that and sort of the decision behind that.
Sure. So when I started as superintendent 3 years ago, the Board of Education made an initiative that they wanted to see this move conducted. We are the last school district on Long Island in New York that is a traditional model of a K through 6 elementary schools, 7, 8, 9 junior high schools, and a 10 through 12 high school. 75% of the country and the state are middle school, junior high school models. And about 3 times in our history that was explored to do this, but unfortunately the enrollment was so high that they didn't have the space to fit the students. So recently, the North Shore of Long Island, with the exception of a couple of school districts, has been experiencing a declining enrollment. About 10 years ago, enrollment was about 7,400 students. It's now about 5,300 students. So the opportunity now has presented itself that we have the space to do this. And the way the curriculum is set up in New York State from the standard standpoint, it is set up as a K through 5, actually a pre-K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12 curriculum. So it has created a lot of issues around for us with staffing and doing programs for students. So for instance, we just did the presentation last night with the Board of Education here. Our new high school principal presented about the increased opportunities for our ninth graders. Currently, they only have about 9 electives that they can choose from at a junior high school level, whereas next year they're going to have 29 electives that they can choose from. So that's a big difference, and there will be some exclusive electives that are just for that grade level. So this is an attempt to try to get them moving forward with their preparation for their academics and for whatever career pathway they choose moving forward. The sixth graders, if you speak to some of the sixth grade teachers in our district, at the beginning of the year, they're still elementary kids. By the time November hits, they are no longer elementary kids. So they want to go on to be something much more, and they're being stifled in some ways because their counterparts in middle school models have opportunities for such things as languages and STEM electives. And right now, and we're a very good district, we are not providing those opportunities for them. So with moving them into the middle school, we're going to give every student that opportunity. Particularly, and this is what, when we say all, we mean all. We have a rising E&L population, and we have a very large special education population. When they're in the elementary model right now that we have existing, those students are pulled from some of their core classes and miss out on instruction that the teacher will have to make up a later point in time in the day. With moving to the middle school model, that will be programmed in, so they will never miss any of their core instruction. So for those students that it's essential for them to be with those content area teachers, they're never now going to miss out on those opportunities as they move forward.
Well, developmentally, I mean, students who are in the sixth grade are much different than you and I were when we were in the sixth grade, in terms of what they're prepared to deal with. And I've experienced this with some of our programs where, there's this innocence that the kids come in with that's still in sort of fifth grade, but by the time they get to sixth grade, the collars turn up. There's a little mousse in the hair. A girl who discovered makeup. And it's just a different mindset.
I think in sixth grade, I was still playing with Hot Wheels cars when I was a kid.
So was I. So was I. Let's step away from our conversation for a moment for me to tell you about the Journalistic Learning Initiative's innovative educational tools and services. If you're looking to make the best decision for your teaching staff and students about AI adoption, improving student engagement, strengthening writing skills, promoting social media mindfulness, or enhancing college and career readiness, please take a moment to visit our website at journalisticlearning.org. Our team of University of Oregon researchers offer customized AI tools, instructional materials, professional development, and consulting. Research confirms that students with journalistic learning experience outperform their peers on numerous key indicators for college and career readiness. At the heart of our work is empowering learners to become effective communicators. If you think about it, effective communication is critical in every human interaction, whether it's writing an essay for a grade or being interviewed to secure employment. Since 2015, JLI has benefited nearly 20,000 students and served schools in 15 states and the District of Columbia. I invite you to schedule an appointment to explore how JLI can improve your students' learning outcomes. Now back to our program. Let me ask you about teen mental health, because you can't open the newspaper or look online and not see just startling statistics about how this generation of young people is challenged in ways that we haven't seen before. What are you observing, and how are you looking at that issue?
So this district has had a very large commitment to addressing mental health issues. We try to keep our guidance counselor to student ratio very low. We have social workers and psychologists in every one of our schools, and 3 at our high school for both of those areas. It's to try to encourage the students to participate in getting counseling when necessary. And it shouldn't be that a kid has a counseling recommendation on an IEP or a 504 plan. This should be available for all of our students. Sadly, we've also had a history in this district of suicides among students and families. So with the pressures, and that, people saying, "Oh, when COVID hit, this is how it all occurred." We were seeing this way before COVID, and we were committed to addressing it way before COVID. So the advent of cell phones and social media has exacerbated many of the issues. I think 90% of our disciplinary factors around bullying or racial issues have all been focused on social media accounts that kids go into, because there's the degree of what they feel anonymity by doing it online, and these Instagram and type social media accounts that disappear. But they don't realize is that the impact is lasting. And all you need to do is Google your name, and everything about you will come up. That you've ever said or done, or and anyone's ever said or about you. So different than when we were kids. Again, so
yes, if somebody bullied you on the playground, maybe 5 kids here heard about it. Now the entire county is aware of what's going on. Yeah,
or if you post innocently, some kids will post pictures of themselves online. Sometimes not appropriate pictures, and that gets out on the mainstream of social media out there and can ruin kids' reputations forever. We've had situations where we've had candidates hired for positions, and we do background checks on them, and there hasn't been a candidate yet that something hasn't popped up that, "Oh, did you realize that you had a picture up there from when you were in college or from high school?" And they look at us like we have 6 heads. So we're seeing more, and that's where that social media component has really exacerbated the mental health counseling here. The trouble for some of our local hospitals are there's not even enough beds to handle the number of referrals. We have a state hospital in our community here, and 2 private hospitals in the area. The state hospital last year alone from our region had 13,000 referrals for suicide.
Wow.
So, and another 9,000 to a step-down unit. So that's 22,000 students. And we're talking as young as 5 years old to, kids in early stages of college referred to the local hospital for mental health counseling. And we simply don't have enough beds to accommodate all those issues. So it's sad when we make a referral and then the child is, before the paperwork is even dry, the child's already back at home and they've been released, and they're referring to outside counseling services, which again there's a shortage of.
Well, now you've been an educator for quite some time. What do you think is society? What's going on that's causing this sort of spike in these issues?
Well, I grew up in a big family, 11 kids, 2 parents, 1 bathroom with 8 boys and 3 girls. And, we were taught coping mechanisms, even from the home standpoint. But, we have a lot of families. We have our highest number of single-parent households ever in our history of our district, and the largest number of single-parent households where it's the father who's the single parent at home, not the mother. So it's an interesting change in dynamic. We also have the largest number of orders of protection ever in our history. So there's a lot of things going on in the world today that our students, as we just said, they're growing up much older earlier than they ever have before, and the exposure that they're seeing to things, the language, and we can't just blame it on TV and music anymore. There's a lot that we can't even control that they're seeing. We have one-to-one devices in our community that we track. And there's not a week that goes by that we don't pick up on some type of traffic way past the hours when people would normally be in bed, between kids sending things back and forth. So it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And then at the same time, we're watching the parental community implode on itself. They go out there and they get internet muscle and they start commenting about their neighbors and their friends. And so the leading by example that's there is trickling down to children. So and it's not helpful when you see things in politics and media with adults, and kids pick up on all that. They're very impressed. The
tone and the tenor of how we engage with one another is definitely different than
Complete lack of civility these days. That's the saddest piece.
Right.
It would be one thing where you could have you could have discourse without having discord, and I think a lot of families don't
It's
see
a great
that.
way to say it. Yeah. So, are you instituting policies around cell phone usage in the buildings? And
Yes. So we actually changed our code of conduct this year that we no longer cell phone usage at our junior high school levels. So they can use it for half of their lunch period, which is a recess period, and that's it. They're no longer allowed in the hallways or in classrooms. Elementary, we completely eliminated it. As I said, we've had 5-year-olds with cell phones in the district. So no good can come from a 5-year-old having a cell phone, especially adults can't handle it. I don't know how a 5-year-old can handle it. So those policies, we've been about a month in so far. Knock on wood, it's going well.
Good.
We see kids actually engaging in conversations at tables in the cafeteria.
Right.
A lot less data complaints and social media issues occurring these days because of there's not that distraction of having that device ever present there. And we thought we'd get pushback from parents on it. We actually got a tremendous amount of support. We did a district-wide committee last year where we had students, parents, staff, administration, teachers all present. And it was the kids who led the argument to get rid of them. It wasn't the adults. They were the ones saying to us, "This is really bad, and there's not enough of us that know how to use it well. That it's going to be used helpfully for all of us." So they were the ones that. So any parent that came to that table that thought they were going to fight for the cell phones was quickly dismissed by the students' reaction to how much they've experienced negativity related to the cell phone use.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. This has been a very enlightening conversation. Let's see, if people want to just check out your district's website, what's the URL?
It's 3villagecsd.org.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
The Ed Leader's Edge podcast is produced by the Journalistic Learning Initiative. Please check out our latest books, Language Arts in Action from W.W. Norton Publishing, and Raising Empowered Learners from Rauman and Littlefield. For more information about our work, please visit journalisticlearning.org or edleaderedge.org. Thanks for listening.